Hello and welcome back. In this session, we will be looking at your CloudWatch alarms. So we will look at an introduction to your CloudWatch alarms. We'll understand what your CloudWatch alarms are, and then followed by that, we'll also look at an hands-on example as to how we can create a CloudWatch alarm and how we can monitor a particular metric. Now, in the last session, we looked at your CloudWatch dashboards. Now, dashboards can be used when you want to visualize your metrics. Could be your CPU utilization, your network utilization, your reads, writes. So whenever you want to visualize the data, we can make use of your CloudWatch dashboards. Once again, before I start off with the session, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So, what are your CloudWatch alarms? Now, CloudWatch alarms can be used to watch one single metric. For example, CPU utilization, or your network utilization, or your disk reads, disk writes. So we can use these CloudWatch alarms to watch a single metric, and then we can set a threshold for that. And then based on the threshold, we can perform certain actions. Now, these actions can be your there are different actions. We'll talk about that, but these actions are performed when the metric goes above the threshold that you have defined for a time period. Like for example, let's say for 5 minutes, if the threshold is above 80%, I want to take some actions. Now, these actions can be simply sending out a notification, like sending out email notification. It could be performing some EC2 action. It could be performing some auto scaling action, or simply creating an incident. You can perform any of these actions by making use of your CloudWatch alarm. So this will essentially help you to monitor one single metric. Let's say for your EC2 instance, you want to monitor the CPU utilization, and you can set a threshold. Let's say the threshold is at 90%. So whenever it goes above the threshold, we can perform some actions by making use of your CloudWatch alarms. Now, whenever we create your CloudWatch alarms, there are three possible states with your CloudWatch alarm. So one is your OK status. That means your metric is within the threshold that you have defined. So let's say, for example, the threshold is set at 80%. If the utilization is below 80%, the status will be set to OK. That means everything is working fine. We don't have any problem. The other state we have is your alarm state. Now, this is when your threshold goes, the metric goes above the threshold. Like, let's say we have set it at 80%, and the current utilization is 85% or 90%. Then the CloudWatch will transition to the alarm state. And the third state we have is insufficient data. Now, insufficient data could be for many reasons. Metric has just started, or the metric is not available, or not enough data is available to evaluate the state of your CloudWatch alarm. So whenever we create your CloudWatch alarms, these are three possible states they will have with respect to your CloudWatch alarms. Now, you can specify what actions you want to take whenever these state changes. For example, let's say if it transitions to alarm state, what actions you want to take, or if it transitions to insufficient data, what actions you want to take, you can define that. All right. So following are the actions that are supported with your CloudWatch alarm. So we can send out notifications by utilizing the SNS service. We can invoke a Lambda function. We can perform some EC2 actions, which can be rebooting an instance, or stopping that instance, or terminating that instance. You can perform EC2 actions. We can also perform auto scaling options, actions, which is to scale up and scale down. So launch new instances or terminate your instances, we can perform that. And we can also create incident tickets. So we can make use of the systems manager service to create tickets, which can then be addressed by the respective teams. All right. So once again, your CloudWatch alarms can be used to monitor a single metric and then take certain actions. That's basically an introduction to your CloudWatch alarms. Let's look at an example for this. So now let's say here I have this EC2 instance which is running. Now I want to monitor the CPU utilization of this service, and then I want to take some action based on the threshold that we are going to define. So for this, we'll first go to the CloudWatch service. So let's navigate to the CloudWatch service here. So that's my service. And here on the left hand side, you should be able to see your alarm. So you can see this in alarm, all alarms, and then your billing alarms. So we are going to click on this all alarm. So for the sake of my testing, you can see there are lots of alarms that I've created. uh, if you have worked on the auto scaling hands-on, your auto scaling actually utilizes your CloudWatch alarms to understand or to control when the instances will be launched and when the instances will be terminated. Okay, so to create your new alarms, on the right hand side you can see create alarm, and then what metric do you want to monitor. So in our case it's going to be EC2, and then per instance metrics. So the instance that we are looking at is this instance. So I can take this instance ID, and we will filter that over here. So this is the instance we have, and then which metric do you want to monitor? So in our case, I want to monitor the CPU utilization. So where's my CPU? CPU. Well, I'm not able to see. Okay, so it's here. That's my CPU utilization. So we will select this metric. So this, I'm telling this is what I want to monitor. Okay, so that's my CPU utilization. Now condition, so we are looking for the static threshold, and whenever my CPU utilization is greater than or equal to, and this is where you can define your threshold. So let's say I'll set it to 90, which is 90%. So here you can see the number. So there's my threshold, and this is the current utilization that we have. So whenever, so I'm now monitoring my CPU utilization, and there's my threshold. All right, now what should happen if it goes above the threshold? Okay, so I want the alarm, the CloudWatch alarm that we're creating, transition to the in alarm state, and then what actions you want to take. So we can send out a notification, we can trigger a lambda action, we can trigger auto scaling action, EC2 action, as well as your systems manager action. So in our case, just for the sake of example, we are looking at a notification. So here we'll go with this create new topic, give it a name. So let's call this as monitor CPU util, and then the email address. So who should be receiving this notification? So in my case, I'll give my Gmail ID over here, and then click on this create topic. Now in the back end, this is using this another service called SNS. I'll be covering this at a later point, but SNS is a service which can be used to send out email notifications, right? So you will be receiving a confirmation email. You will need to confirm that email. Only then you will be able to receive the notifications. So in my case here, this is the confirmation email you will see. So only when you confirm this subscription, you will be able to receive the notifications. If not, you won't be able to get the notifications. Okay, so make sure you do that. Next, we'll give it a name. So let's say monitor CPU utilization. You can give whatever you want, and then you can set a description as well for this. Okay. Next, you get to review everything. So there's my threshold, there's my current utilization, your condition, what is the action you want to take, and then create alarm. So this will go ahead and create an alarm, and you can see initially it is in the insufficient data state. So whenever you create the alarm for the first time, it will always be in the insufficient data, and then based on the metric, it will either transition to the OK status or the in alarm status. So in our case, we have defined the action for the in alarm state. So whenever my CloudWatch alarm transitions to the in alarm state, it will send out a notification for me. So it will notify that, hey, your CPU utilization is greater than or equal to 90%. So like this, you can create your CloudWatch alarms for any metrics you want, anything you want to monitor, and then take certain actions. Now in this case, I can also set my actions to terminate that instance, right? But it's up to you. Depending on your use case, you can define what exactly you want to do. So let me refresh this and see if that has transitioned. So this will take some time, but eventually this will transition to OK status because our CPU utilization is way below the threshold. All right, so only when it goes above the threshold, it will transition to the in alarm status. Okay, so you can see the status, it says okay. That means everything is below the threshold. So once it goes above the threshold, that's where your actions will happen, which is to send out a notification for us. So that's basically your CloudWatch alarms. We can use this to monitor any specific metrics and then take certain actions. In the next session, will look at another example for your CloudWatch alarms, which is to create a billing alarm, that is to monitor our AWS cost. How we can do that? We will look at an example for that. That's all for this session. Thank you. Once again, before you leave, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, leave a like and please share the video.